Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the webinar, first of 2019, the era of customer engagement. What we're planning to introduce our latest release functionality, the Folloze content sites. Hope you had a good holiday vacation. I myself went on a road trip, 13-hour road trip with my 3 kids. Some wouldn't call it a vacation, but we actually had lots of fun. So in this presentation today, what I'd like to do is give you a little bit of the overview of kind of the problem statement, what's kind of the market situation we're seeing, and then present the content sites. I'll also show you a demo. I see that some people may have a hard time hearing. I'll show you a demo of the new functionality, and feel free to ask questions. We have a Q&A pod in the conference tool where you can post your questions. I'm happy to take them and happy also to have follow-up meetings. I'll start first by saying that we live in an era of customer engagement, and what we mean by that is really the customer is in the driving seat. But more than that, we live in a very kind of noisy world. Just looking at kind of the number of communications we get as consumers and as business people, the stats you're seeing in front of you are daily stats. So 500 million tweets, so many emails, robocalls, all those marketing messages being delivered to us as consumers and as kind of business professionals. And this essentially creates a situation where people become immune to those messages. They don't listen to those messages anymore. And for us as marketeers, what that creates is a huge challenge to get people's attention, to truly communicate with people, and to build those relationships that are so critical for any B2B engagement, for any B2B sales, for any B2B kind of vendor-customer situation. If we look at the consumer world, you all know those brands, and they have figured out, I think, in a pretty successful way, how to create those customer engagements. It's based on, great experience, make it very personalized. They push the innovation forward, and we all kind of consumers of that experience. And not only that, but they actually raised the bar also for us in the B2B world in creating similar type of kind of experiences, similar type of engagement experiences for our customers. If you kind of connect it to the B2B world, one of the things, there's a few foundational changes that we need to think when we think about creating those customer engagements. We really need to elevate our game through, always be kind of providing value to our customers through any interaction, always be educating. Through personalization, it needs to be really smart and also very relevant. Through an integrated experience that provides, consumer-level experience, very accessible, very easy to operate, and so on and so forth. Clearly relevancy. And overall, think about value. How do I drive value to my customers, not only when they become customers, but through the buying process? How do we essentially educate them and make them more knowledgeable through the interaction with us? We, at Folloze, one of the things we've been kind of thinking a lot about is if we are to implement such an engagement strategy, what are the foundational elements that need to be part of the solution? And the big idea is that siloed practices, we really need to take ideas from different practices and to integrate that into one solution. Whether it's the idea of content marketing, which is driving demand and interest through providing high-value content, whether it's ideas like personalization in the digital marketing, or whether it's connecting very closely with the sales process. So really making marketing part of the sales process and sales part of marketing processes without changing kind of the behavior of people. Salespeople are not marketeers and vice versa, but they need to be interconnected in a much more significant way. And what we've done with our platform over the years is essentially position ourselves in the intersection of those categories, of those practices, And you'll see that in some of the demos that I will show later. Taking it to the next level, I'd like to kind of spend a few minutes to talk about engagement strategy. What does that mean? Typically we talk about an experience related to a campaign, maybe our website, but really the next level is to think about the touch points that we want to drive in building those engagements with our customers. So that means that it could be all the way from kind of marketing air cover, where you attract people through the customer life cycle, through an engagement that involves pipeline creation with SDRs, or in some cases it's sales-led, through acceleration of the pipeline and in conversion. And that's truly marketing orchestrated use cases, but they're fully led by sales. And all the way to the expand side, where it's marketing orchestrated in many cases, or we believe it needs to be marketing orchestrated, and it is led by the account team, account managers, and the customer success with the goal of customer renewal and expansion. So these are all kind of clearly business processes or stages in the engagement strategy that we need to support. And it's really important to think about each one of them and how to take the ideas of content marketing, digital marketing, sales engagement, and implement them throughout this process. We as a company support all of them, and some of the capabilities that you'll see that we announced a few weeks ago and we're introducing today are in the area of the two boxes on the left side. They're more marketing use cases with air cover, but also they can be used very true to our great mission and belief. It could be connected to the sales team and sales process. So I'm happy to introduce the Folloze content sites. That's our newest functionality, and we've invested significantly in making it very robust. Some of you who may be customers or familiar with Folloze would know that we have the Folloze content boards. These are essentially highly targeted boards that you can deliver to your customers that tell a certain story. We've extended and enhanced that concept into content sites that really can scale very significantly in terms of the amount of content, number of content assets it can support, hundreds and thousands. They can be organized in taxonomies that could be very sophisticated with multi-step tagging. We added a lot of content management capabilities, such as the ability to publish, to schedule content, and to personalize it. But we stayed very true to the simple creation. It's all very quick to create, simple creation, simple editing, drag and drop, and you can embed it on your website. It's an interesting use case to embed it on a website or a web page, but it could be also a standalone. It could be implemented as inbound or outbound, and it could be connected to sales, which is a very specific flavor we have to the solution, and I'll show that in the demo a little bit later. So, from a use case perspective, this could power multiple different use cases. This could be anything from content center, resource center on your website. It could be organized by a topic or product or solution, or it could be a demand generation site that you can use those capabilities to promote a product launch, which we've seen a few beautiful examples. If your launch is significantly heavy on content, this is a way not only to create a micro site that you can promote kind of the high value proposition of the launch, but you can actually deliver all your content within one experience. It could be vertical, could be regional, all the way to being even an account level site, very true to ABM scenarios. And then you can also use it as a sales or partner enablement. You can push content packages or content sites into your CRM, wherever your sales force is. So it's the same technology, but it's used in many different ways. So without kind of further ado, what I'd like to do is share a demo. And the demo will be divided into multiple steps. I'm going to start first with the end customer experience and how do you build it, how do you update that. Let me just share my screen here. And I would say that I didn't introduce myself at the beginning, so I'll do it now. My name is David Brutman. I jumped right in. And I'm the Chief Product Officer here at Folloze. I'm also one of the co-founders of the company. So sorry for the slippage. So let's start with a demo. What you're seeing in front of you is a content site. It has been designed to work under a website. That's a company called Equiteer. And essentially, you can see that it could introduce files or links or content that comes from your CMS system. It's organized in those kind of tiles that are very familiar for our customers. And then just kind of to navigate through, clearly what you have here is multi-level navigation where you can navigate to specific topics. We've created the taxonomy of product technology industry, but clearly this is very flexible to create your own taxonomy here, and you can easily, as an end customer, filter that. I would say that the assumption here, unlike the content boards, is that you're providing a lot of content to the customer and you let them filter, search within this, I would say, content cloud versus the content boards where you really kind of drive them through a certain experience. I'm going back to kind of the home and just showing you that that you can, that you can search. Let me just complete that. You can search specific terms. What will happen is you're going to search based on your tags and based on the description and title and archetype of that content asset. And you have a pretty sophisticated filtering mechanism here if you want to choose, say, a few products and relevant to a few industries and so on and so forth. So you can apply that as well. So that's kind of the simple way of interacting as an end customer. And in terms of build side, I'm going to move and show you how you build. So this is the backend side. And you can see here that this is currently a pretty clean environment. What I'll do first is I'm going to add a few content assets. It's very simple. So I'm going to add a few documents, just drag and drop a few of them in. And they'll be essentially generated this way. We're going to pick up the image. We're going to pick up the title from the document. And I'm going to also add one web link, which will be kind of a YouTube video. Throughout the creation of the process, you have a lot of flexibility here. So, for example, you can categorize it. You can add a label to it. So data science, in this case, we're talking about, in this case, a big data company. You can define the visibility, so this could be open to all or gated or even password protected, which is really interesting for a more advanced stage or more confidential information. You have the ability here to set the visibility and also a very sophisticated feature where you can map this content to a certain attribute. In this case, it's a company. And then based on the prospect that lands on the content site, this prospect is going to see different things. So only people from healthcare will see essentially this asset, and you can create a number of rules here to allow that to happen. So that allows dynamic content to be defined. The whole personalization dynamic content is a set of capabilities that we have. We can actually get this information from third parties, and we can also generate this based on IP of the account that lands on our board. So that's a kind of simple way of adding content. Let's kind of add a few categories. So this will be a product category, and then we're going to add a subcategory here, AR and VR. And in the same way, what I can do is essentially using drag and drop, I can define that I want to drag those items into this category. So it's really a matter of minutes to build this taxonomy, and you can add more of the taxonomy that I mentioned. You can also add links that will appear on the top of the board of the site, just like here, would link to third parties. So this is the way you would build this taxonomy. Very, very easy. Now, moving forward, clearly this is not a static site. This site can be automatically updated. So if you need to update it, it's the same way. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to add a web link. And in this case, we actually want to define that this web link is going to go live at a certain date. So you can schedule it here. And you can also set up an end date and dynamic content here. And essentially what that does is the ability to you can see the tag that it's now scheduled. And also if you choose to do so, you can define that for those two items, they're currently going to be offline. So it gives you a lot of flexibility to push content and publish it, but it does keep the very simple kind of idea of operating it. Now, one of the, I would say, big ideas is although this is a content site, it could be also connected to sales. So what I mean by that is some of you may be familiar with our Outlook add-in. So we allow salespeople to include links to content boards and content sites from within the experience of Outlook. This is just an example. So you can allow salespeople to link to either the entire site or to a category within the site, or even to link to specific assets. Now, the really interesting idea is that once the salespeople link or send their customers to the site, they can keep tracking the activity of their customers. So this is truly bringing a marketing initiative around content site and connecting it to a sales motion. So they don't send their customers into kind of a marketing asset, into a black box. They can keep on tracking, and we have the capability to push notifications on engagement. So for example, if I have a top of funnel or early stage customer, and I would point them to, say, the category of AR in the content site, I'll be able, as a salesperson, to keep track of did they reach, what did they read, how long did they spend, just like any content board. So it could be through our analytics page like this one, or it could be within Outlook itself or within your CRM. So that's truly connecting marketing and sales and incentivizing sales to truly promote content that is on content sites. I did want to also mention the ability to essentially to send people to the content site from any inbound channel. It could be organic or it could be your social. And again, we'll be able to track all the activities all the way to the click level or content asset level, but we also have an aggregation to show you how many people engage with the content site. And in this case, you can see that people could be guests, and they were kind of identified here by our IP to account lookup, or these could be known people that we promoted through our email campaigns. One more thing that I'd love to touch on is the embed use case. Typically, this use case that I've shown earlier is a use case where you embed a content site into your website. But I think that there are really interesting use cases. It not only powers your resource center. So this could be, for example, something that would power a region. So typically in a large company, a region would want to manage resources, which would be documents or anything else, and they would want to do that maybe in their own language. So that's a way to really decentralize some of those capabilities of content management or content sites and enable your region team to manage it. Or if I mentioned the launch use case. But here is another use case which you can implement very easily, and this is to embed a website within your CRM or your partner enablement site. And that allows you essentially to manage this. You can easily embed it into a CRM. In this case, it's Salesforce, but it could be any CRM. In this case, you essentially push all your content to your sales team right from here. So it's another way of using content in a pretty smart way. And I'm sure just spending time with customers that there are other use cases we haven't thought about. But another use case is embed those content sites as a vendor, embed them in your partner websites and manage them centrally. So I would say a lot of options that are possible, with really the idea of making it very simple, but also making it very powerful from taxonomy point of view and from content management point of view, make it extremely simple. All right. I would like to leave a few minutes for questions. I really like to keep our webinars very, very short. So what I'll do is I'll jump right into some of the questions. So there is a question here. There are questions of embedding into a website. So two questions, I think. One question is, so would this traffic that comes to the embedded board or embedded site, would that be, from an SEO perspective, is going to be considered kind of part of the website traffic? And the answer is absolutely yes. So we have a few different ways of embedding the page, the content site within the web page, but there are definitely it's being tracked as traffic on a website. And there's another question: if you have a search box that is across your website entirely, would that also find assets in the content site? And I probably need to understand what kind of search it is. In general, we can connect our search to also the website search, but I'm not sure. It really depends on how the search is implemented and our ability to report back the search results. Yeah, there is a question here with regards to personalization, which is a big topic and really interesting topic. A question whether we can integrate with third-party tools to be able to personalize the experience, and the answer is yes. We have an open API to connect to any third-party systems, and there is a specific question around Bombora. We can do that with Bombora and Demandbase and a number of other systems. We do have that open API that allows us to connect to those systems based on a certain data scheme and then personalize the experience. Another question, reporting capabilities. So we can report in a very detailed manner. So what that means is we can report all the way from what's the traffic level to the entire site, which categories were most viewed, which content assets were viewed, and all that. But we can also segment by, if these are known companies, we can segment by companies. We can segment all the way to individuals in their behavior, or people with a certain role. So all these options, all the way from how successful, how much traffic, all the way to how did a certain account in an ABM use case behave, all those reportings are available. Some of them are out of the box, and some of them we offer through BI tools, and we typically integrate with the BI tool that you run in your company. Yeah, so there's one more question on on pricing, which is always an interesting topic. I would definitely refer to our sales team for pricing discussions, and we can follow up on that. And there's also a question. You've shown us desktop experience. How does the mobile and tablet looks like? So the answer there is we invested heavily in mobile and tablet. So this easy experience of creating the boards is very simple, and essentially what we do is we take care of the mobile. It's all responsive for mobile as well as tablet. So you don't need to really be concerned about that. This is all being taken care of. Mobile experience is very, very cool and beautiful. So another question, which is how do we scan, index, and develop content taxonomy? All right. So there are multiple ways to develop the content taxonomy. It could be manual, like we've done, like you've seen here. We do have also utilities that allow to scan your existing content repository and then essentially create the taxonomy based on that. We do have a few very important features that are coming down the road that would allow you to scan or to identify new content and then push it to your content site automatically. We had some interesting experience with. We thought it's going to be a very important feature, and people are going to really be interested in that. But it seems like people would want some governance before they push something new to the content site. So with regards to that, you're going to see some enhancements on that. Quick question on GDPR. Yes, we're fully GDPR compliant. We work with the larger companies in the world. Half of our companies are Fortune 500 companies, and we've passed all the privacy regulations that they have. So we're very familiar with that topic and feel very comfortable with any requirements related to privacy. Very strict privacy management that we have, both from an encryption process and regulation point of view. So some of our customers have already applied GDPR requests to remove data subjects from our system. We've followed up on that, so no concerns there. And then just a final question. Are these content sites searchable by Google? Thanks for this question. They are. So we have an SEO that is powering this content site, and absolutely they're searchable and they're identifiable by Google. Having said that, you can also block it if you choose to do so for different scenarios. For scenarios where you want to keep this content site very, very private. So that's possible. Another question from an old friend. How is the lead flow, especially Eloqua? Beautiful question. So first of all, we're integrated with both Eloqua and Marketo, as well as Salesforce. So we can push new leads into those platforms. We actually do this with probably half of our customers already. If this is say an anonymous lead, and we want to capture it via a form, so this is a gated content. What is possible to do is whenever this new lead is being captured, we would push this to Eloqua and tag it as someone that comes from Folloze. But not only that, we will also communicate all the actions that this lead has taken with Folloze. So all the views of content, CTAs, if they share the content with anyone else, this will also be pushed to Eloqua or Marketo. So Carlin here is telling me that we're out of time. So I'll just, first of all, thank you for your time and attention. I truly appreciate the time you've taken. We do have office hours for some of you who are existing customers. We have office hours, and Carlin is adding it to the chat right now. In this office hours, we can talk specifically about building the content site for your use case and guide you on any further questions. So one is taking place in 30 minutes, and you see the link there in your chat, and another one is happening at 7 a.m. On Thursday Pacific time. So feel free to join and take advantage of that. And with that, I will wish you a wonderful rest of the day. Hope to see you use this very, I think, very important functionality that was released. And also feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions at davidb@Folloze. And also if you have any feedback on the functionality that you're looking to extend, any feedback, we're always very happy to get that feedback and act upon it. With that, have a wonderful day and wonderful evening in Europe.